Hello, this is my submission to the 7-question series of the very cool website wehappytrans.com. So I'll just jump right into it. The first question is, what is your name, chosen or otherwise? My name is Carolyn. It is a chosen name. I chose it for myself. I think I took it from a professor I had in college who I admired a great deal, who was named Carolyn. It was sort of, I think, in college when, at around that time, that I started to really seriously kind of try and fail for a while, and then ultimately sometime later succeed at coming to terms with who I was and everything. But yeah, so Carolyn was just a name that I liked. I thought it suited her very well, and I sort of hoped that it might suit me well as well. So I took it for my own. Okay, second question is, who has been most supportive of your transition or gender expression? Hard question to answer. A lot of people have been, very supportive. I'm fortunate to be able to say that I haven't really lost anyone over transitioning. I really feel like I need to give special credit to the amazing people that I work with. I started at my current job as an out trans woman, and everyone there has been, I couldn't ask for them to have been any better than they have been. It's never been an issue, at least not that I've been aware of. Everyone has always just treated me like it's not an issue, and that's exactly what I want. They just totally accept me as the person that I am, and that obviously that shouldn't really be a big deal. Someday I would like to think that will be the norm, and but I do recognize that right now, that is not. I recognize how fortunate I am to have that, and how lucky I am, and I am very, very grateful for it. It makes going to work so much better than it would be otherwise. So it's pretty wonderful. The third question is, what do you most enjoy about your life since beginning transition? If you're not there yet, what about the possibility of transition excites you the most? What do you look forward to? Alternatively, what about your current gender expression is most satisfying? Okay, so for me, I am so much more comfortable in my skin and just comfortable with myself since beginning transition. The reality is that it used to be that when I was still living as a boy and everything, like, the first thing that I pretty much would think about in the morning was the fact that I was just all out of sorts gender-wise, emotionally. It was quite painful, and I felt very just oppressed and everything. And just the absence of that is remarkable. Just the feeling of just comfort within myself is this. I think it's sort of the norm for most people, that to not have that feeling that I was describing earlier. But for me, like, the novelty of it has not worn off yet, and I still just kind of luxuriate a little bit in the feeling of being comfortable with who I am. The confidence that I have, is pretty amazing to me. I would not have thought at one point that I would be comfortable kind of going out in public, presenting as I do, but I do. I mean, I'm fortunate. Maybe that I live that I'm not kind of harassed or accosted much by people on the street, strangers, about my gender identity or presentation or what have you. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I used to be a much more timid person than I am now. And while I'm not maybe the the picture of confidence, but I feel much more comfortable and much more confident than I did in years past, and just there's so many just little life affirming moments that happen. It's just even the littlest things. Someone telling me that they like my earrings or my coat or what have you. Just little interactions, little connections with others are so much more real to me now that I feel like I'm being real. It's difficult to articulate kind of just how powerful that is and just how different it is from what my previous experience of the world was, where I sort of felt like there was always this bubble around me that things couldn't really pass through, or something. I don't really know how to put it right now, but sorry about that. Let's see here. Okay, next question is, who are your trans role models, or who have you looked up to in the trans community who inspires you? A couple of people, Julia Serrano, who wrote this book, Whipping Girl, A Transsexual Woman on Sexism and the Scapegoating of Femininity. This was a really just, for me, kind of galvanizing, eye-opening, thought-provoking read, an empowering read, too. Janet Mock is just a writer and kind of public figure who I admire tremendously and look up to. I think that I love her confidence, her sense of self, the way that she simultaneously totally owns being trans, like in a powerful way, and yet at the same time is not nearly like totally encompassed and identified simply by that. I mean, it is just, it's one facet of her identity, her experiences as a human being, like it is for, I'd say, most or all of us. But I just really kind of admire the way that she does everything that she does. I think she's fantastic. But for me, probably the people who I think about the most, in terms of with a sense of admiration, are people whose names and faces, most of them I will never know, but like just the people who, in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, throughout all these decades, were trans and lived lives and like faced a world that did not understand them at all, at least initially. And I mean, there's still a whole lot of that out there, but it's because of them that it's because of them that I am now able to live the life that I live, where where there are employers out there who will accept a trans employee and put her in sort of public facing positions, and where there's a growing level anyway of support and understanding and everything. I mean, I think in most movements, most heroes are kind of unsung heroes, and I feel like the trans awareness is no different. I mean, there's so many men and women who have just lived their lives, and in ways large and small, in small towns and cities, kind of bravely were true to themselves and authentic, and challenged the perceptions of those around them and broadened minds, and kind of got us to where we are now, from where we still have a long way to go, but I think we're moving in the right direction. The next question is, okay, what changes would you most like to see in the world? This can be trans-related or not, but we'd love to know where your passion lies. One thing that I'm really passionate about is, or I guess you could say that I get angry about at times, is the state of availability of trans-related treatments and surgeries. I think it's great that some employers are starting to help their employees with some of those expenses related to trans treatments and medications and surgeries and so on. But still, I think there's so many cases of where people are, in pain, they're suffering, there are treatments and procedures out there that exist that could help alleviate that suffering and help significantly just, increase that person's potential to lead a happy and productive life, and which affects and benefits not only the individual but the people around them, the people that they then come into contact with, the people that they work with. I feel like I can do much better work being me than I could if so much of my energy was still just being drained away by just like gender dysphoria and the weight of feeling kind of trapped in a non-authentic existence. So often for so many people out there, oftentimes it falls down to treatments and procedures being attainable by the privileged, by people who have the money and the resources to afford them, or who are extremely fortunate to work with employers or for employers who do have policies that will help support covering those kinds of costs and so on and so forth. And whereas, they should be available to anyone who needs them. I feel very strongly about that. The next question is kind of a follow-up to that. It reads, okay, what are you doing to make those changes happen? We're all in this big old mess together, and we each need to do our part. Share with us how you're the change you want to see. What I do is, as it turns out, the website that I work for is owned by a massive corporation, and that corporation does have yet to step up to the level of more of other companies that are doing more for their trans employees with regard to medical coverage and so on. So I do periodically I write letters to the Human Resources Department, the benefits people at said corporation. I try to make them as polite but persuasive as possible, with lots of facts and statistics and things to kind of back up both why it's in everyone's best interests to step forward and to start offering more support for trans employees, and why it actually wouldn't be that costly for them, all things considered, in the long run, at all. So I do that periodically, and I hope. I don't believe that my efforts individually are going to change anything or make a difference, but I like to hope or imagine that my incoming letters are just one of 10 or 20 or 100 or 500 or 1,000 kind of encouragements and nudges in that direction that they get from trans employees all over the world, every day, week, month, year, and that eventually this will kind of have an impact. And so that's what I do. Let's see. Next question is okay. Last question, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Tell us something, anything special and unique about you, your interests, your story. Never forget gender. Gender is just one part of the larger project of becoming a fully authentic human being. Yes, amen to that. So one thing about me that's not, I wouldn't say, wow, this has been going on for 18 minutes. I thought I was being so concise and speedy. Okay. Anyway, I write about, it's not unique. I mean, obviously there are other people and other trans people who do this, but it's, I think, kind of interesting. Anyway, I write about video games for a living, which is it's kind of a dream job. I mean, games are a passion of mine. I get to do it with an amazing group of people, and who do work that I'm proud to be part of every day. It's an interesting time, kind of culturally, in video games. There's a lot of discussion going on about how women are portrayed in games and just gender issues as they pertain to games and so on. And I really enjoy being a part of that discussion. So I write about gender issues fairly frequently, but I also sort of hope that I'm seen, ideally, if it were up to me, kind of readers would see me as the woman who writes about video games and happens to be transgender, rather than the sort of the transgender person who writes about video games, because I do think of it as just one aspect of my identity, it's an important part of my life. It's an important part of my experiences, but I don't want to be totally defined by it at all. there's so much to life to enjoy, so to discuss, and it's a shame if kind of one thing kind of overshadows everything else. So that's part of why I love wehappytrans.com. I love the positive outlook on this, the positive mindset. I think that's fantastic. So if you watching this have not checked out wehappytrans.com, do check it out. Yes, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Bye.